Welcome to the McCreery's Home Furnishings podcast. This is a studio that we built for the Jerry Reynolds Show. And Jerry's not here right now, so I snuck in one of the most knowledgeable people I know when it comes to great leather, Mr. Doug Suess. He is our rep for Bradington Young leather. And Doug, thank you for spending the time here today. I appreciate it.
It's certainly my pleasure. I want to bring some information to the folks that watch this podcast so that they're
all five of them, and I'm sure we'll get some viewers.
Oh, I'm sure there will be.
Everyone wants to tune in for fine leather, right? I mean,
well, I would think that they want to know things like this, so I'll be glad to share what I know.
Awesome.
And leather in itself is the most durable cover that you can put onto furniture. Of course, we all want to go find our furniture in a comfortable place to sit down. So when we look into things for our own environment, leather should be one of the highest selected choices. The durability factor is like 3.5 times the highest durability fabric is going to be realized with your investment into leather products.
So you said leather is 3 times more durable than fabric?
Totally. So mathematically, when you're looking at something that's in fabric, multiply it times 3 just for a number that you are playing with, and then look at that leather sofa and realize that is not an expensive piece of furniture to invest in.
Right.
You're going to find that the longevity of leather to be something that will take you well beyond the need of your use, I'm sure. It's an item that comes in various forms, and let me define what those different types are.
Sure.
There's a majority of the leathers are the finished leathers. Now, finished leather is where they've taken the hide, they've embossed it to be uniform in the grain, then they've built up the color. Now, this is the most durable type of leather, and what an interesting thought that the most durable leather is the lowest priced leather. That's because they can utilize the entire hide this way when they put the uniform grain everywhere and then they uniform color that hide. It is all usable. Therefore, it aids into making the most durable the lowest price.
Interesting. So the most durable is the lowest starting price.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's kind of an inverse logic, but it is the truth, and you could see that every one of the automobiles that have leather in them have a finished leather in them. The reason being is it's serviceable. They can get in there, they can remove scratches, they can, if the kitty did some things, they can remove those gouges.
I love my leather seats in my car. It's saved me so many times for my 2.5-year-old throwing milkshakes or fries or ketchup, you name it.
Right. Well, on a finished leather, this is family friendly. You can have your dinner on a piece of leather. You can spill things on it, and it won't do what some of these others do.
Sure.
Now, what are those other ones? We have finished leather here. We have aniline leathers over here. And then we have a little crossover where we take an aniline and we put a clear coat over it so that we can still enjoy the beauty of an aniline. Now, what is an aniline? Aniline is the highest grade leather. When they're sorting out all of the hides, they'll set aside the finest ones that they see and utilize them for the aniline processing. They're trying to create a window into the life of the cow. They're bringing out the natural beauty of that hide. It's supple, it's got depth, but it also has reasons to be aware of maintenance.
Right.
This is speaking about things in a molecular way, this is a sealed hide, and that keeps the molecules from evaporating in the sun or in the heat. Now, you take these beautiful aniline leathers, they are open pore and they start off gassing and of some of the oils and so on over the years, and that you need to reapply a leather cream. What's a leather cream? Well, it's lanolin and glycerin, and it's something that I'd put it in my hand, I just wipe on it, and all of a sudden it looks brand new again. It wanted that drink.
How often do you need to do that with some of the finer grade leathers, the higher end leathers?
Well, I'd rather answer this in a way of how do you maintain leather? Because so many people, they get it with their shoe. They know that they buy this beautiful shoe, they put it on, it's not as comfortable as it's going to be as it's going to be when it breaks in. They go walking through the brush and they put a little scuff on it. They go get their shoe cream and they bring it back to looking wonderful again. Right. Well, this is all the same thing in what we do and how do we maintain our leathers. Is we think of them just like our shoe.
You know, you said something earlier when we were talking about doing this podcast. You said that, and it stuck with me. I think it's great that leather learns to love you.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. It's sitting there when it gets right out of the box. It's sitting there just like a newborn baby, just nice and smooth and soft and everything. But in reality, you're going to start doing what you do with your shoe.
Right.
You get it out of the box, brand new, you put it on, you walk across the room, you go, well, I can't wait for this to break in. It's going to be much nicer. Well, indeed, this is exactly what goes on with the leather furniture. It wants to receive you. It wants to immediately change to your body temperature, whatever the room temperature is. Right. And then it just starts conforming to your body, and your comfort gets better as time goes by. Right. Now, it's like I go to my closet and I look at those shoes over there and I go, I sure love those shoes, but they're kind of worn out and they're all wrinkled and they actually got a hole in one side of them, but those are my best friends. Well, it lasted the longest. It served me the most. Right. And now it's worn, but it took a long time. Now, I would say that your average Bradington Young sofa should have a surface experience of about 30 years in the life of the hide. Wow. Now, go back to the maintenance. What is maintenance on leather? We recommend that weekly you vacuum for dust. We also say that once a month you would take a moist cloth and you would take a little face soap of something mild form and make it moist and go to the piece of furniture where your body would be touching the leather, specifically your hands and your neck and your lower back are places where people will leave body salts and perspiration of things that we're airing ourselves. So those are the things that actually harden the leather over the years. So this monthly wipe off of these salts onto the rag, it's just as if it was your face. Right, nice cleansing. I don't take my face and grind it. I just do a mild thing and I'm done.
Damp cloth.
A damp cloth, a mild wipe on that, and then dry it off, and then you're good to go for another month. Yeah. Now, simply removing those salts will enhance the life and pliability of that leather to many, many more years. So all of that is all good maintenance. So once a month it'd be nice to take a look at it and wipe it off like that. Once a year, you might want to take a leather cream that you apply after doing a mild wipe off, and that will put all these lanolins and glycerins back onto the hide that likes its pliability that way. Right. So yes, you do have great choices in leather. You have expectations in them. If you want to be one that is going to be family friendly, go to a finished leather. If it's an aficionado of a beautiful hide that you want to see the depth and the life of the cow in there with you'll see bug bites, you'll see scars, you'll see brands even in some of the pieces, So
now I've heard that there's a difference. I've heard that there's a difference between leathers that come from different parts of the world versus, cows that live in a colder climate versus cows that live in a warmer climate. Does that change the leather at all? And
the environment really does. The water buffalo is one that has probably the toughest hide that there is, and it's probably considered the lowest price per hide because of its crusty feel and lots of scars and a tough life that water buffalo is evident.
Right.
So you can go to the other end of the spectrum in Scandinavia, where they have places where there is no barbed wire, there's controlled environments, and those hides are very, very special.
What about California cows? Do we still hear about the California happy cows?
I think more about cheese than we do about hides.
I don't watch too much TV, but
No.
Any leather sourced from California?
I don't believe so.
Yeah.
But I know that we are gathering them all over the world. I'm seeing, of course, Italy is a
Italian
country
leather.
that makes beautiful leather. So many of these are from Italy.
What is about Italian leather that makes it so fine? Is it the history of the craftsmanship and the leather craftsmen that this skill has been passed down generation by generation, or are just cows happier in Italy? What exactly is why is Italian leather the most prized?
It's in the processing. It's all in the processing, and then the select of the hide. They'll be in the higher grades of the hide select. Then they will run it in drums with the emollients and the dyes. And the longer that they leave them in that drum is the more pliable that this leather becomes.
Right.
So they will take the top grain off of the hide, which has about 3 times the density of the rest of the leather, and process it with development of grain. They can make it vacuum sealed, so it's a very tight, smooth surface. They can enhance the surface pebbling
Right.
on there. It's a piece of art, basically, a hide. It's a canvas. And in this canvas, they're creating a beautiful painting, all of the colors of the rainbow. And with that, it's a matter of creativity. Between you and your designer, you can have any color that you want. You can create any look that you're after with change of finish, of nail, of type of cushion core, motion or no motion. And the comfort that comes out of sitting on leather in any one of those forms is apparent to you every time you sit down. There's a sensation of sitting in the finest, and that does have a certain appeal.
So that maybe reminded me, Doug. So maybe we should let our audience know what type of product that Bradington Young is and how customizable it is, because it's a very custom product. I mean, by looking at all these swatches, there's different frames, there's different options. Real quick, can you let our audience know what Bradington Young is and how to design your own custom sofa?
It's a beautiful factory that we have. It's made up of American workers that are from Hickory, North Carolina. Most of them have been with us for more than 20 years, so they're highly experienced, the finest craftsmen in the United States working with leather. When you go to this factory, there's no product sitting there. Everything is being based off of a creation that you, the customer, and your designer have created this list of parts. I want to utilize this leather in this color, and I want to I don't like nails, so I want to make it without nails. I want to have it with fabric on the seat. Well, that's what we are. We're custom.
Make that happen. Yeah.
We're the factory that takes all of your thoughts and we turn them into the reality of your furniture. And again, we're utilizing the highest levels of ingredients that man is aware of. So they're all incorporated together to bring on the best investment into the finest furniture that you can buy.
So, Doug, I know that there's a lot of confusion, and I even hear it from my friends, talking about leather grades and different types of materials and bonded leather and top grain versus full grain. Can you explain some of the confusion that people encounter in the leather market? Because they're pretty good at putting, lipstick on a pig sometimes.
Well, that's the art that exists out there. Now, I can walk out into the showroom out here and look at other brands, and I'll look at it and I go, is that vinyl or is that leather? What is that?
Yeah.
And that could be true of about every piece that you walk up to, because you have to rely upon the people that you're talking to. What is this?
Sure.
And
it is subjective. I mean, to some people, a vinyl or a bonded might fit their needs.
Might fit their needs, right? Yeah. It would play into the economy of things, number one. It would also have durability for washing and cleaning, but it doesn't have much longevity.
Right.
And it doesn't have that essence of sitting down and knowing you're sitting in leather that talks to you subtly that you're in the finest.
It's not the authentic experience.
It's not that.
Right?
But let me go over all the points of what's out there in the field of all your choices on the street.
Tell me, Doug, tell me.
I get to study all of this, so it's very interesting. Yeah. We will take at Bradington Young, and again, we'll utilize the highest level of top grain leathers and apply them to the highest level of a frame. And 8-way hand tied the springs and put spring down into the cushions. And these are the points that man has determined are the finest points that create the finest comfort and longevity. Meanwhile, the other companies, not to say anything about them, they're out there competing, of course, and they will take and try to make something look like that, ours.
Right.
Ours consists of points of finest level of ingredient. Theirs is an item to look like the finest ingredient. Meanwhile, it may incorporate these various points. There are vinyls that look like leather. There's bonded leather, which is ground up leather parts and embossed to look like a hide after they put resin into it. And they will sell that as leather in some other brand. So, or you'll walk up to the piece and there'll be leather where you sit and there'll be vinyl where you don't sit.
Yeah, I've heard that it's leather everywhere that your body touches, right?
Yeah, leather where it touches. Well, what does that add up to in the longevity of that piece? Mm-hmm. Well, the leather's going to wear differently than the vinyl. The vinyl's going to be a different color than the leather later on, exposing the fact that this is this blend of these parts. So I think that my advice would be, of course, is to buy something that's all top grain leather, so that many years down the road, it looks like it's all top grain leather, whereas those looky-likes, they look like they're not. What's going on in the varieties of leathers that are out there? We've talked about the maintenance of leather. We've talked about the longevity and all of the color selections, and what to expect about the different types. I've got one last one that I want to bring up that
Lay it on me.
I didn't discuss earlier, and that's a nubuck.
I was going to ask you about the nubuck, the coveted nubuck.
A nubuck.
This is for the leather aficionado. I mean, you got to really, really love leather to go with nubuck.
When you go to buy fine jacket that's in a suede, well, it's not suede, it's nubuck.
Right.
And that, what is that? Well, that's a seriously open pore hide. Sometimes they will take the center cut of the suede. They've peeled off the top grain leather aspect, and they've got this suede part of it. And that they will sand it down, and they will create this beautiful look that we have here in my hand. However, you've got to be very wise about this, because it is a sponge.
Right.
It wants to have me take that cup of coffee over there and turn this into brown. And it'll never come out.
Yeah.
It'll be brown.
Yeah.
Unless you go and apply the treatment that they have for like your suede shoes. You put that onto a nubuck. I watched it be done, and I couldn't believe my eyes. I couldn't believe that this man sprayed that with the protectant for the shoe onto this half of this hide swatch, and took a drink and poured it over it in front of us, and half of it soaked up like a sponge, but the other half that he'd put the treatment on it ran right off, and it was just as beautiful as as this.
I would imagine that you would need to make sure that you apply that treatment
You have to probably do
yearly,
that periodically.
Quarterly, frequently.
But if you buy that, you have to be willing to realize that it is a sponge and you need to protect it.
Right.
The top
but
grains,
the benefits
no.
of nubuck is it's super soft, isn't it?
It's all about the feel.
Yeah.
They love the feel, and it's something to love. It's wonderful. But it, like I say, one mistake without any treatment on it, and it's changed the color. A little red wine on that would be a serious situation.
Indeed.
But when you talk about the rest of the leathers, they are all in a position to ward off the stain, ward off the spot. You do run into, in your aniline leathers, you do run into a waxed finished leather, okay? And it'll be shiny and there'll be a wax on it, and they can show a little bit of a scratch, but they also have what we call pull-up. And pull-up allows, when they upholster it, to show a little color. I'm having a little trouble there, but you see that it
changes color.
Lightens as you apply it to the frame, and it brings on the antiquity again that we're trying to do in certain applications. So when you see these marks on an aniline leather, that's not a scar on the leather, that's disturbed wax, because that's got a wax coating on it. And that's not impossible to rub out simply by putting a little leather cream on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then those scratches will be reduced or come out? Or
They're reduced.
Reduced. But of course, with a material like that, there always is the risk that, this is a natural product, and if you want that type of hide, that you're going to get wear and marks on it over time.
Right. It actually it adds to the appeal to it as it develops, the little creases from sitting in it and the little marks on it and so on. So you've got a lot of opportunities there to have that antiquity in your new setting.
Right.
It looks like it's been in the family for 4 generations. Nobody ever sat in it.
Yeah.
No, it just was made last month, and we designed it to be that way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have those opportunities. You can be as contemporary as you want to be. You can be as lodgy as you want to be. You can be as head-supported, comforted with motion-related furniture today.
Right. And a lot of the Bradington Young
The
that's
appeal
purchased is motion. Motion is a popular category.
It's really become today's most interesting combination, because they've incorporated a new feature in comfort that's driving it, and it's the adjustable headrest.
Right.
So now you can recline, you can adjust your head so that your head is pitched at the level that you want it to be for watching TV or reading or whatever.
Sure.
Then there's even the lumbar support, so you can actually change the way that your lower back support is. So they have memory buttons on them now.
Yeah, it's high tech. It's high tech.
Yeah, you can find your favorite spot, set it in the memory on the seat that's yours, and then go off and do your things, come back, sit down, hit that little button one time, and all of a sudden you're right where your spot is.
Right.
So there is your spot, and comfort is being had through a lot of luxury motion from Bradington Young.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Doug, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you educating me on this topic. It seems like whenever we talk leather, I'm always learning something. So,
well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure to discuss leather.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed this quick leather podcast. And this is Doug Suess from Bradington Young. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.